Story 1. Ashley and the frightening Skinny Santa Claus. The terrifying events unfolded in late November of 2024. I was 18 and enjoying some early Christmas shopping at the Walden Galleria Mall in Buffalo. Though the mall was emptying out as closing time approached, I sat on a bench near the massive Christmas tree, trying to collect myself. After hours of retail therapy, an older man, appearing to be in his early 60s as Skinny Santa Claus lookalike, ironically came and sat down next to me. He cracked a joke, and he talked for a few minutes. What struck me most was his odd comment that I looked like his daughter. He showed me a picture of a young woman on his phone, but frankly, she bore no resemblance to me, or, for that matter, him. She looked like she could have been his granddaughter. Feeling increasingly uneasy, I quickly made an awkward exit and drove home, which was only about a 10-minute commute. As I turned into my unusual cul-de-sac, which was shaped more like a roundabout, my phone buzzed with a chilling notification. AirTag found moving with you. Panic seized me. Instead of pulling into the driveway, I looped around, driving further down the street. I managed to figure out how to make the AirTag beep. To my horror, the faint, insistent beeping came from 10F. My shopping bag's the one from Sephora. I dug it out, instantly feeling nauseous, threw the device out the window, and floored it back home. I locked the front door and called my brother, Cody. Ho was out and sounded slightly intoxicated. Just as I was trying to calm down, the sound of the doorbell made me physically sick. It was followed by 3 loud, distinct knocks. I tiptoed to the door. A slightly muffled man's voice from the other side said, "Hey Ashley, I think you might have my AirTag." It was the man from the mall. He had deliberately slipped the AirTag in to my bag to stalk me home through the textured glass. I saw his shadow as he yelled that he had dropped it in there by accident. I didn't believe him for a second. I called Cody again, yelling that I was serious and he needed to come home. While waiting, I turned on the TV to drown out the silence. Then, from the corner of my eye, I noticed movement. I looked, and it was gone. I briefly convinced myself he had left, but after a minute or two of watching TV, the same terrifying voice came from right outside the window. I love it when they play dumb. I looked, and his face was pressed against the glass, a grotesque smile on his lips as he saw me notice him. He tapped the window and said, "Don't pretend you don't know I'm watching you." I screamed into the phone at Cody and called 911. Cody arrived a few minutes later, but the man had vanished. The police searched but found no evidence. To this day, the terrifying incident remains unsolved. I can't shake the thought of the girl in his photo. Was she a victim he had already trapped? Story 2. Claire and the Invisible Stalker. My name is Claire, and my life changed for the worse after this experience. I had recently moved to a new city for a promotion, believing I was starting fresh one Tuesday evening. On my 15-minute drive home from work, my phone alerted me. AirTag found moving with you. The chilling part was that the app indicated the AirTag had been tracking me for over an hour. It had been in my car all along. I frantically searched every inch of my car, under the seats, in the trunk bay, had found absolutely nothing. I knew someone had planted a tracking device, and they knew my location. Having no choice, I drove straight home, leading a potential stalker right to my apartment. I searched the CAR again, more thoroughly this time, but still couldn't find the device, despite my phone insisting it was there. Days passed, filled with paranoia. Finally, late one evening, I was about to give up, when I ran my hand along the crack where the back seat meets the cushion, and my fingers hit something solid. I knew instantly what it was. With violently shaking hands, I took the AirTag inside and removed the battery. The thought that someone had been monitoring my every move for days, or perhaps weeks, left me feeling utterly exposed and violated. A few evenings later, I came home late too. An even greater shock. My apartment door was wide open. I live alone. No one else had a key. I didn't go inside. Instead, I retreated to my car and called the police. They searched the apartment meticulously, but found no sign of forced entry. No fingerprints, nothing. The door had simply been unlocked with a key. The police kept asking if I had a history of being stalked, but I didn't. Though things eventually quieted down, I moved out soon after. The most terrifying realization is that my stalker was someone in my life, and they possessed a key to my apartment. That fact, that they could walk into my private space at will, haunts me still. Story 3. A vicious game of revenge. I want to remain anonymous while sharing this story, as it involves months of legal and psychological turmoil. It all began a couple of weeks after I broke up with my first serious girlfriend after college, Devon, who I found to be quite psychotic. At a friend's party, I ran into Taylor, one of Devon's friends, who surprisingly and aggressively flirted with me. We ended up hooking up in an upstairs room. As I was getting dressed, I realized my wallet, which contained an AirTag, was gone. Taylor had disappeared, and I couldn't contact her as Devon had blocked me. The next morning, I tracked the AirTag to a local gym. Yet, the moment I stepped out of my car, the AirTag went offline. ISP, ENT an hour searching, but found nothing. The same bizarre scenario played out the following day. At a random park, the AirTag came online, and then went dark the second I arrived. A terrifying suspicion grew. I was being watched. Someone was deliberately toying with me by removing and replacing the battery. I decided to ignore the game, refusing to let them have the satisfaction. But then, things escalated. One night, the sound of shattering glass jolted me awake. I called 911, unlocked my bedroom door, listening in terror as an intruder tore through my place. They were gone before the police arrived, taking my laptop and other electronics. I dismissed the break-in as a random robbery. Then, the AirTag came back online at a popular bar. Despite my vow, I drove there. Predictably, the device went offline just as I approached. My frustration boiled over into a full-blown rage. I started aggressively confronting random people in line, accusing them of stealing my wallet, until a bouncer physically removed me. A week later, just as I was getting ready for work, the police were at my door with an arrest warrant for suspicion of stalking and a search warrant for my house. They were looking for a journal supposedly hidden in my dresser. I told them there was no journal, but they found one anyway. The following months were a nightmare. Devon had been meticulously crafting a case against me, using the AirTag as bait. She was the one controlling the AirTag all along. Her evidence was overwhelming. Pictures of me at the exact locations I had been lured to buy. The AirTag, the gym, the park, the bar. Disturbing, harassing text messages supposedly sent from my phone to hers over several weeks. The journal filled with psychotic ramblings and details of her daily schedule that I never wrote. No one believed my story. I was advised to plead guilty to crimes I didn't commit. I was only saved when a man Devon was seen called the police and confess his role in the scheme. He revealed Devon had given him my AirTag, instructing him to lure me to locations, disable the battery when he saw me, and taking conspicuous pictures. Text messages between them proved everything, including how Devon had used a copied key to break into my house, steal my laptop knowing my password, and send the harassing messages to herself, later framing the incident as a random robbery to cover her tracks. All charges were dismissed, and justice was served against Devon, but the trauma remains. The realization that someone could so easily manipulate technology and the legal system to effectively destroy my life is a terror that will haunt me forever.